This video is dedicated to the memory of Billy Hinchy, 1951 to 2021. Hi everybody. We're going to continue our Billy Hinchy review series and tribute with our look at his documentary on Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys. For those of you that don't know, Billy was Carl Wilson's brother-in-law. He married Carl married Billy's sister Annie, and like I said yesterday, Billy spent years as a member of the Beach Boys touring band, and he also when Carl went solo for a couple years in the 80s, respectively 1981 and 83, Billy was an integral part of Carl Wilson's solo band, and I believe he co-wrote some songs with Carl for his two solo albums, Youngblood, or at least played on them, Youngblood and Carl's self-titled debut solo album. And so Billy decided to make a documentary about Carl Wilson called Carl Wilson Here and Now. And I was lucky enough to get a copy of this documentary from Billy's website, billyhinchy.com, and it is tremendous and extremely moving. It kind of tells in a very personal way about Billy's relationship with Carl going back to the early 60s, and he basically grew up as a member of the Beach Boys inner circle, I think. And so this, the documentary basically tells tells the story of their relationship, interlaced, or it basically tells the story of Carl Wilson's life from an insider point of view. And like the On the Road with the Beach Boys documentary that we talked about yesterday, it has a lot of interviews with Carl's friends, bandmates, and other musicians that he's crossed paths with over the years. And one of those was Walter Perezader from the band one of Chicago's horn players. In 1975 and going all the way up to, I believe, 1997, the Beach Boys and Chicago embarked on a series of co-bill tours entitled the Beach Go tours, where the Beach Boys would essentially play with Chicago. And in this documentary, in the Carl Wilson Here and Now documentary, some of those Walt Perezader tells some stories from those years of touring with the Beach Boys during the Beach Ago years. And one of my favorite sections in the documentary is the years that the stories that are told about the years Carl went solo after, he basically took a break from the Beach Boys in 81 and 83. And that period is heavily represented in the documentary, and you actually get to hear, for those of you that haven't heard Carl Wilson's solo stuff, or Carl Wilson's solo albums, they are tremendous, and you get to hear the stories behind some of the songs in this documentary. And what I like about the this one and the Beach Boys 1974 is that you get to hear a lot of stories from the Beach Boys band, members at that time period, and the same holds true for the Carl Wilson documentary. It basically, tells the story of Carl's life up to the time he died. Actually, the way this documentary is laid out is the first disc actually the first disc is it kind of details the first part of Carl's life and all the way up to, I think, actually it's kind of laid out like the Beach Boys 74. And it is, like I said, profoundly, personal and moving. Actually, it's actually one of my favorite, one of the most moving films about the Beach Boys that I have ever seen. And in 1998, Carl in 1997, I believe, Carl was diagnosed with cancer, and he continued to tour, up to the time he died. And those years are talked about in the documentary as well. It's very moving. Every time I get to that point in the documentary, I always tear up because Carl was my favorite Beach Boy, and just the stories from the last part of Carl's life are very moving. And ironically, Billy Carl had lung cancer, and ironically and cruelly, Billy died of the same thing. The not, and so But anyway, I hope you enjoy this and as much as I did or do. And I give it 5 stars, everybody. Enjoy the DVD. Tune in tomorrow for a look at Billy's documentary on Dennis Wilson called Forever. That's tomorrow.